Underwater trips now take over land trips. Sounds impressive, right? Hello everybody, we are back with another episode of exploring the design and construction of underwater structures. Let's explore the underwater world right now. Regarding structures have indeed been rising steadily as the world's population has increased. Cranes are everywhere in dense cities, building brand new, gorgeous skyscrapers. What if cities were deep within the ocean rather than high in the sky? Since humans have always been interested in undersea architecture, methods for making constructions and structure essential currently exist. Proposals for underwater cities and communities are already being studied, even though the only towns that are now submerged are those that were sunk through time. These ambitions are already more reasonable than they may seem, and there are already several underwater eateries and resorts in various parts of the planet. Learning more about the architectural methods that make submerged water structures possible to fully recognize the fantastic accomplishments, here are what the construction materials are used for underwater. Taking a building in water requires components that can endure several challenges, such as water pressure, corrosion, and erosion. The following subjects are frequently used in underwater building projects. Concrete used is an underwater-specific type of concrete that can firm up swiftly despite ocean currents and performs well in salt water. Second is steel. Steel creates a sturdy structure for underwater structures, often encased in concrete. Third is acetate glass. Acrylic plastics are excellent for underwater constructions because they're robust, relatively rigid, and resistant to radiation. Acrylic glass is used for underwater windows because it's transparent. Construction firms can use various construction techniques to produce magnificent underwater constructions if they have the necessary materials. Now for underwater construction techniques. Over time, several key methods have been developed that let construction firms and workers create in both large and small bodies of water. CAISSON is the most powerful technique used in underwater buildings. Then comes cofferdams, push stacks and constructing, floating and lowering off-site. It's interesting to note that the main objective of these underwater construction techniques is to prevent building deep in the ocean. Consequently, water is redirected or avoided during building in several ways. A crucial strategy given that it's practically impossible to make it in water. As a result, building underwater refers to inventive ways to operate around water and develop structures that can survive it once construction is over. The building material is infinitely times stronger than your brain. Only kidding. Kindly like, share, and comment on this video. Also, remember to subscribe to our channel, Build Tech. Regarding caissons. Caissons are waterproof constructions that can be submerged while maintaining a dry interior. Employees can dig deep inside an open caisson's dry interior until they reach a firm surface on which the caisson will rest. Caissons ultimately become a component of the structure of a building, frequently a bridge or a dam. Even though we don't often consider bridges and dams underwater structures, many of their crucial components are submerged. Many large crossings would only be possible with the large support structures that withstand the spans of the transport vehicles and people through. For instance, two enormous caissons were employed in 1870 construction of the Brooklyn Bridge to reach bedrock and lay the foundation for the bridge's towers. There are various kinds of caissons, yet they follow the same fundamental principles. Open caisson. An open caisson has only vertical walls and no bottom, allowing workers to dig at its base. A pneumatic caisson. Similar to an open caisson, a pneumatic caisson uses compressed air to prevent water from penetrating. And box caisson. A box caisson is layered onto a pre-existing foundation because, unlike other caissons, it does have a floor. Although caissons are still utilized to this day, their use is restricted. Thus, cofferdams are frequently required in their place. Now comes cofferdams. The building site can be made dry by pumping the water out of a temporary enclosure called cofferdams. As their name suggests, cofferdams function similarly to dams in stopping water from flowing out of a specific area. A wholly built cofferdam resembles a sizable walled pit encircled by water. Steel and rocks are just two of the many materials that may have been used to make cofferdams. The simplest cofferdam is created by simply piling up a lot of dirt. To stop erosion, these kinds of cofferdams frequently need some reinforcement. Wharves, piers, and partially or completely submerged buildings can all be built using cofferdams. Temporary dams can also be built using cofferdams. For instance, the Hoover Dam was built using many cofferdams to redirect the water from the Colorado River. The powered piles or driven piles allow teams to construct sturdy constructions without ever needing to remove any water when constructing foundation sections underwater. A strong hammer can drive piles resembling long, vertical columns into the earth to create a solid foundation for constructions over or beneath the water. In underwater architecture, piles are embedded into soil layers or bedrock rather than into a piece of wood, which is comparable to nailing a piece of wood. Most steel pilings used in underwater construction has a somewhat hollow interior. After the piles are put in place, the water is replenished with concrete by filling the pile's interior with a tube. A steel-reinforced concrete column without any water contained within itself results from this method because concrete may set even when it's encircled by water. The fundamental components of undersea creatures, which must be firmly fixed to prevent shifting with the water's current, can be constructed using driven piles in one of the most affordable ways. For instance, the spectacular, half-submerged Apple store at Marina Bay Sands in Singapore was anchored by driven piles. Building, floating, and lowering off-site. We've established that the primary objective of underwater construction is to avoid having to develop underwater. The off-site building is, therefore, one of the most popular techniques used in underwater construction. Buildings are constructed and put together off-site, often employing modular design before being moved to a building site. Constructions or part of structures are frequently carried out on or pulled by barges before being lowered into position. While the other parts are laden with weights to help them reach the sea floor, certain components are lowered only using their weight. A superstructure is then dropped into position, and if necessary, water is drained out of it. The Utter Inn, a tiny hotel in Sweden initially erected on land before being buried amid a lake, is one example of a construction constructed in this manner. The only way to enter the hotel is via boat. Even while this way of building can be pricey, it is substantially more affordable than building underwater, which requires sophisticated equipment, experienced drivers, and a significant risk. Underwater structures can be built using these techniques, including caissons, cofferdams, driven piles, and off-site construction. Around the world, there are hundreds of undersea structures, including research facilities, lodging facilities, and even nightclubs. Whatever the contrast between these varied structures, they all have one thing in common. They were all built with tremendous inventiveness in architecture, engineering, and construction. The outcomes range from extraordinarily useful, like TRANSBAY Tube connecting San Francisco and Oakland, to breathtakingly beautiful, like the underwater rooms at the Atlantis Dubai Hotel. The MANTA Resort in Tanzania. At the northeasternmost point of Pemba Island, there's a floating luxury resort called the MANTA Resort. The resort offers a pleasant overall exploration of the architecture and aquatic life. The construction has two levels, the deck and the underwater level, with most of it being submerged. Above the water surface, the landing deck level has a lounge space and washroom amenities. Bedrooms are located at the submerged or underwater levels. The best example of a real-world marine experience is on the bedroom floor, which is nearly 360-degree windows that look out into the ocean. Atlantis Resort. On The Palm, an artificial island in Dubai shaped like a palm frond, is where you'll find the Atlantis Hotel. Most of the hotel structure is above ground, while certain underwater suites are 20 feet below sea level. Visitors are welcomed by the enormous floor-to-ceiling glass with glimpses of sea life as soon as they exit the elevator and enter the rooms, including the bed and bathtub. TRANSBAY Tube. During morning and evening rush hours, the 3.6-mile-long TRANSBAY Tube, an underground railroad tunnel connecting downtown San Francisco and West Oakland, carries nearly 30,000 passengers daily. The tube was first constructed in 1974 and is a remarkable example of submarine engineering, especially concerning worries about earthquakes in California's Bay Area. Sub 6. The only underwater nightclub in the world is called Sub 6, and it's located offshore of the exclusive NIYAMA island in the Maldives. The Sub 6 nightclub, which is 18 feet underwater and has floor-to-ceiling windows everywhere, offers its patron a glimpse of colorful coral and aquatic life while they dance the night away. However, designers and engineers have already started to think of several concepts for intricate underground cities. One such design by the Japanese company Shimizu Corporation envisions an underwater spiral that extends from the surface of the water to the sea floor. This kind of building could support 5,000 people, produce its own electricity, and endure earthquakes and tsunamis. However, the project is only currently a fantasy and is predicted to cost at least $26 billion. And that will be it for today's video. I hope you're ready to book your tickets for underwater trips very soon. We'll be back with another video very soon, but until then, remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel Build Tech, and we'll see you in the next video.